Today we're going to be looking at some of the new features and advanced great features Blender has added to their 3D software for 2D animators like myself. It's the grease pencil. You can find it in the newest versions of Blender. Here are some of my brushes. You can now have brushes and grease pencil. I like to use this one. I'm going to start on the lines layer and draw my animation. I'm going to boost up my radius on my pen to 40 because I do have the pressure on. It's going to be kind of small without that, and disable the strength so I won't have any transparency in my strokes. That's no good. And I'm adjusting the other smoothness in the post processing also for a smoother stroke. Okay, now here are some of the materials I have stored in my startup setup. So every time I start a new 2D animation, I will have these settings, these materials, a palette for me. Okay, I have a drawing tablet that I have I'm using now. I'm going to select the draw tool. I'm going to start my lines for my animation. Showing a little character from the top of my head. This little something. I do kind of a little dark character thing. Yeah, Blender is amazing. It's one of the best softwares out there now. Compared to the best, I want to say the leading software is for Photoshop. They do have a timeline where you can do frame by frame animations just like Blender. But what I'm going to show you today, that Blender has an interpolation mode that after the frames are drawn, you can select multi-frames and edit those frames on a curve. So even if you've already done earlier interpolations on your animation, you can go in and change those lines with the multi-frame curve, which affects more than one frame. It gives you the ability to go in and change animations a way that no other software has been able to do. I'm doing a little touch-ups before I get to editing. I'm not going to spend too much time on creating this character. A little something something. I'm going to go to my fields now so I can do coloring. I'm going to do it up under the line layers. I'm going to select the pen tool to do my coloring. You can use the paint dropper. What I like to use this to get more precise. Okay. I'm going to disable the fill while you're drawing so you only see the lines. So when you finish, it'll fill and the fills won't be in your way as you're drawing. You may choose to leave it on. It's up to you, your preference. I like drawing at these settings. All the fields will go on top of the older fields that you make. If you want to make your new fields up under the previous fields, you click that little icon, and when you do a new field, it will be up under the other fields that you have already created on that particular layer. Give you a little control over where your fields are. Blender's amazing at these things. I really love the new workflow for animating. This is real helpful. It speeds up my workflow so much. I'm so grateful for Blender and the people at the Blender Foundation. But I'm gonna get into my animating part now. I'm gonna go to another frame. Blender automatically has weight. A way to edit your strokes. Remember, you got to think of Blender as like a vector program, which is good for each stroke is handled at such precision like this. You can select points on your strokes or the whole strokes. I'm going with the points because I'm going to try to make him like bend in the middle. So I'm going to select the shear icon, and for my cursor, I'm going to use my pivot. I'm going to use the cursor as a pivot, and also on my global movements, I'm going to select cursor on that so you can get the turning motion right where I want it. I can select the cursor to change the location of where the turn's orientation, and see that? That's cool. You get a little turn effect. Go to the next frame. Everything's already still selected. You gotta do is turn. Next frame, same thing. Smooth animator, right? Cool. And of course, just about any of the, not any of them, but a lot of the paint programs that have timelines for animation, they're sort of similar. You can do this thing. But what makes Blender ahead of everybody, you can also go back, select the frames that you want to change, and you can go in and select those frames. Go into edit mode, move your animation, select the point on the timeline, select your animation and move it, and it'll affect all the other frames also. When you select multi-frame, you will manipulate all the other frames also. Very useful. This is how you do it. You pick a point in between keyframes. You go to stroke, select the layer that you want to do the interpolation on. I just did the lines. I wasn't going to do the fills, but I am going to do the fills just to show you. I was going to be lazy and not do it, but I'm going to show you. Do the same thing, but you select the layer that you want to add the interpolation frames on. Picking a spot in between 2 points, selecting strokes, going to sequence, interpolate, sequence. Keep doing that in between the keyframes, and Blender draws the frames that are in between your keyframes for you. Lovely, powerful tool, I have to say, Blender. This is my first tutorial, so guys, kind of forgive me. I am a rookie at this, freshman. I've been using Blender for a long time now, about 15 years, maybe more. I'm so glad this update though, this grease pencil is so awesome. Okay. Now you can see as I play how quick you can animate your drawing, the lines and the fills. You can add more layers, 3D objects in the back, in the front. Blender also has a freestyle option to make your 3D objects have lines also automatically. Okay, now what I'm going to do is show you how you can alter the animation that you already have with the interpolation. I'm going to select a part that I didn't animate earlier. Select the point on the timeline. Already has animation. Man, note. I'm going to select the frames that I want to manipulate. I'm gonna select all of them because it's so short, and I'm gonna go in and move it around. Get a little movement, animate it, change the frame. slide the head around a little bit. And notice when I changed frames, it went to the previous selection that I had before when I was moving ahead with the shear. Automatically does that for you. It's a very powerful tool. Okay. And to actually move, you have to select the multi-frame option that I just selected right here. I didn't do it first. I meant to do that. You can use this also if you just want to manipulate the selected points, so it'll only move those points. But with this, it'll move everything on the timeline at this curve, the beginning and the end. The middle will have the most of the animation that you did. So the manipulation is determined by the curve, and in the middle of the curve is the highest point. And whatever I select to animate, the points I select to animate, I'm gonna select the shear object. I'm gonna move it so it is gonna manipulate in a certain percentage of that's given by the curve all the frames that are selected, and it's gonna move, it's gonna animate, it's gonna change your character's movement, add it on to the animation that we already done previously. Then your end result is pretty astounding. You get a very powerful tool. There's a lot I can mention about Blender, but I can't go over everything. There's a lot in here. This tutorial is like for advanced users, I want to say, because I didn't go over a lot of stuff that I'm just hoping you're like an advanced user. You already know how to use the grease pencil also. But I was just amazed at this, how you can interpolate the frames in between the frames, and I just wanted to show everybody this tool. Blender is becoming the best go-to thing for 2D animations now, and if it's not your tool, you should think about using it. At least try it out. It's free. Yeah, these guys at the Blender Foundation, they really know what they're doing. They're staying ahead of the curve in this animation thing. They've been doing the 3D for a while. Like I said, I've been using it for a minute. Yeah, check it out. Blender grease pencil animation is awesome. And that's my tutorial for today. Catch me again, Blender Cartoons.